Hello, fellow movie crusaders, and welcome to another episode of Sean's Movie Crusades. My name is Sean Wasserkrug, and this is episode 2 of the Movie Crusaders ride through the Star Wars galaxy as we go through each episodic film of the Star Wars franchise, with today being episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Hope you guys enjoyed the first one with Phantom Menace. We've got 3 people here today with me to talk about this film, even though I feel like this video is going to basically be me just being attacked the entire time. With me over here to my right is Brian Michaels. Brian, how are you doing? And it looks like you're a fan because you got some posters of this film.
Well, for starters, I'm on the viewer's right. I'm on your left. That's the point. Yeah, I got posters because you buy these things before the movie comes out. But no, even when the movies came out, you enjoy them to a certain level. But we'll see where it goes from there.
Lies. All right, and then below Brian, we got Kirk Kolakowski. Kirk, how are you doing tonight?
I hate sand. It's coarse and rough and gets everywhere.
I fully understand.
We're jumping right in.
And right below me is the man, the myth, the legend, the guy who I'm probably going to mute through most of this because I just don't want to listen to him shit on this movie the whole time. Jay Burns. Jay, how are you doing?
Yeah, it's coarse, it's rough, it's irritating, it gets everywhere. Unlike that line, which was smooth as hell, Kirk. If we were going to talk about Star Wars and we had to skip over one, this is the filler episode of Star Wars movies.
Let's jump. That was episode 1.
No, that's this episode. You need that to set up.
Let's put it this way, Brian. This is basically a trial run of episode 8. Right now, where Brian and I are basically going to be the refs, and it's going to be Kirk versus Jay for The Last Jedi. This is basically this is basically semantics right now. We're just going to have you two in this, and when it gets to episode 8, you guys are just going to be full on, like, no rules, everything goes. Jay's letting his hair out for it.
Damn, I gotta let this down for this fucking fight.
But yeah, I cannot wait to film that episode because that's going to be classic. We'll get more into that when we get to that episode, or at least to the end of episode 7. But today we are here for Attack of the Clones. Now, let's go ahead and get this out of the way. I actually enjoy Attack of the Clones. I personally think if you take the Naboo stuff out of this film, I actually thought it's a very good Star Wars movie in a sense. Apparently, I'm the only person that thinks that. But when this movie came out, I was actually working at a movie theater, so I got to see this movie every day, multiple times a day, and it grew on me, and I loved it for many, many reasons because of that. So of all the prequels, now I'm not going to say I like this over Revenge of the Sith, because Revenge of the Sith I thought was actually really good. I don't hate this movie like I hate Phantom Menace. So a lot of this video is probably going to be all 3 of these guys just jumping me profusely about how bad this movie sucks and me trying to defend it and probably failing at that. Brian, what are your initial thoughts of Attack of the Clones?
Well, I mean, looking back to when I first saw it, the same thing happened to me with this as happened with Phantom Menace. Is that, I've been waiting for this movie. I'm like, oh, it's going to be great. I'm going to go see it. And I went and watched it, and I came out of it, thinking, oh, that was a good movie. I enjoyed that. But even I knew I was just lying to myself because it was just disappointment. I mean, by the time you hit episode 2, at least you weren't going in with 20 years or whatever of build-up and anticipation. You went in knowing that the last one was not good, but maybe they can pull themselves out of it this one. That one was start a little kid, it was hard. But maybe this one is where they're going to pull themselves out of it. Not so much. It was... There are parts of it that I can enjoy, which we'll get into details later. But overall, I just think that this was not a good movie. I'm of the opinion that episodes 1 and 2 basically should have been episode 1, and episode 2 should have been the Clone Wars. And then 3 could be the Turn of Vader. But they didn't do that. They decided to drag this out into a whole separate thing, and most of this movie is filler.
And then we got a phenomenal TV series that was the Clone Wars.
But we didn't know at the time we were getting that.
I know. I'm saying that we did get that.
I think they felt the need to do that because they didn't give people what they wanted with this movie.
Let's go ahead and go with Mr. Jerry Curl himself.
Look, y'all are laughing, okay? But this right here is stress curls because I had to watch this goddamn movie again.
And it's still better hair than Obi-Wan's mullet.
Fuck, dude. he doesn't hate flying. He just hates when he does that. There's so much from the fucking.
He doesn't know where to start.
I'm not just trying to hate rage at Sean right now. Okay, so like, forgive me. Go to Kirk. I will sum up my feelings in a minute. Because at this point in time, it's just gonna be
Okay, Bobcat.
fuck this movie.
Kirk.
Sean, I think I'll be the closest thing you have in this room to an ally right now. I don't particularly like this movie. I definitely think it's better than episode 1. And I think coming out of episode one, my expectations have just completely hit rock bottom. So anything that wasn't as bad as episode 1, I was excited about. This movie actually gave me a lot of stuff. Like when I was a kid, and I thought about them making more Star Wars movies. And when they first started talking about prequels, a lot of the imagery I had in my mind of what a Star Wars prequel would offer, this movie actually delivers a little bit of that. So there are some things in this movie to cling on to that I like. Overall, not great. Better than episode 1, not as good as episode 3 or any of the subsequent movies, except for maybe Last Jedi. But we'll talk about that later.
Let's keep the Last Jedi down to nothing right now. We've got plenty of time to do that. And a whole episode. I'm gonna make it through.
I would just like to point out that this gentleman right here said Klingon. That's not this. Get out. No.
No, are you ready to talk like a human being now and not?
I don't like this movie. There's a lot from this movie to just. It's all filler. This is space politics at not its finest. Definitely not its finest. The dialogue in this movie is trash. The acting from almost everybody in the cast is garbage. Hi, I'm Kleeglars. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Once again, the dialogue's bad in all 3 of the prequels. The acting's bad in all 3 of the prequels. Why are you just?
This is the worst.
So that makes it okay?
No, he's pointed it out on this one like it wasn't in episode 1 when we talked about it, and it's not in episode 3.
Maybe somebody's just watching this episode, so we gotta mention it.
I get that, but it's just like
I got a whole dialogue section on here.
God, he's got notes. But Jay is just so like on this one. I'm like, bro, it was worse in the first one.
No,
this one. The reason why it's worse in this one in the case is because they had to add romantic elements into this one, which they kind of did in the first one, which was actually really creepy. This one they were at least close to of age to have allowed it. And
let me put it to you like this. First and foremost, I was 12 years old when this movie came out. This movie was made for me. Guess what? It fucking sucked when I was 12. It sucks when I'm 29. No, this is not a good movie.
It's worse. Phantom Menace is way worse than this movie. Yes, and I will die on that hill. Proudly.
Okay, I mean you're already buried 6 feet on that hill, Red.
I would die. I would die on the mountain, and you are not invited.
Hey, like you said yourself, this one isn't about Phantom Menace. Keep it on this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, God damn, this is gonna be a long freaking episode. Now I know what Kirk feels like when he did his top 100. But that's a whole other series we're gonna do after this one. Look, and what Kirk said about like when he was a kid, he would think of a Star Wars universe, or he was playing with the Star Wars toys, and he was thinking of what to do. That's what this movie felt like, at least the last hour of it. I would have all my toys spread out across the room and have just one giant battle going on. And that's what it does in the last hour of this film. I love the last hour of this movie. When they basically get on Geonosis, I think this movie is fucking great. It's just too weak till we get to Geonosis. Yes, Jay, I 100% agree with you. All the Naboo shit is fucking garbage. It is god-awful. The dialogue is horrible. Natalie Portman is doing her best soap opera impression, and Hayden Christensen is there. I agree with you. I'm not going to
get me started on the telekinetic mango scene. Okay, don't.
They were trying to do the best Bruce Wayne Batman 89 thing with the salt.
You passed the salt. What?
That's what they were
Can
doing.
you float me a mango?
Look, it's I got no defense for Naboo because everything on Naboo was atrociously bad. Yes, 100%. I'm not going to defend that. Now the rest of the film, though, I will defend. I think that happened on Naboo. We're not talking about that.
We gonna.
I liked it wasn't necessarily the opening scene. But when the assassin tries to take out Padme and they do the chase scene, that was a great chase scene. That was I don't know what's wrong with the chase scene?
It's too long.
Okay, the pod racing that was 20 minutes in Phantom Menace was too long, or wasn't too long?
I agree with that too.
It was definitely way too long.
That was an offense in the first one. They said that it wasn't too long. Mark was adamant about no, that pod racing scene wasn't that long.
Well, Mark ain't here, is he?
I know Mark was here. Mark wished he was here. Mark wanted to watch this one, but he's not here right now.
No, oh no, I had to find one with an open cockpit. I didn't like the color.
That's your response? Really? This is gonna be the most obnoxious episode of all of these. Because
it's the most obnoxious fucking movie out of all of them.
That's Phantom Menace. Yippee! Anyway, Brian, thoughts on at least the beginning part? Except that we got to see Rose Byrne die like in the first 5 seconds.
Really badly too. I mean, first of all, the first shot you see is actually the pilot coming out of the starfighter, which you go, oh, that's Natalie Portman. So no one's fooled that thinks that's the Queen Amidala coming out of this thing. Which I hate in movies where they're like clearly thinking, ooh, we're fooling you, but you're like, everybody knew that. So from the beginning, I was like, okay, whatever. And then, I mean, okay. So the beginning. The introduction of every character is just, it started me off on the wrong foot for everybody because you got Natalie Portman coming in that scene. You got some bad acting by everybody because the problem is that in regards to like the CG, like when they do creatures and things, it's it was groundbreaking at the time, but they could not composite a shot together. Everybody in this entire movie looked like they're standing in front of a blue screen acting. And George Lucas even said how he would like film this person for the scene, this person for the scene, and splice them together. And you could tell because nobody had chemistry acting against each other. When you first, also in the beginning, our first introduction to Anakin and Obi-Wan, I was thrown off by that because of Obi-Wan's beard. You can spot, no, trust me, I'm surprised people have not commented more on this. You can tell every scene in this movie that was a reshoot by which ones have the really bad fake-looking beard. It's the same problem the first movie had, Phantom Menace, with Obi-Wan's hair. He had the natural-looking hair, and then he had super fake-looking hair. And so reshoot, and the bad fake beard threw me off. But anyway, I don't know how far you want me to go at the beginning of the movie, but I guess up through the chase scene. I guess I was watching this movie, came in hopeful they'd learned from the mistakes they'd made previously. And as it kind of started, I'm kind of like, oh, this feels like they learned nothing. It's still, way too heavy into political talks. If now we have to have painful romantic talk. And Kirk.
Kirk.
Anakin is just so cringy right off the bat. Like his he's trying to be romantic, and
I've been obsessing over this girl for years.
Pause. I'm going to defend Anakin here.
Yikes!
His introduction is him being nervous as hell because he's seeing Padme for the first time in 10 years.
Okay.
He spent like 3 weeks with her. He's been obsessing ever since.
He's been jerking off to thoughts of her for the last 10 years.
Had a crush on a girl at 9 years old and obsessed about her, Jay.
Not 10 years later, I didn't.
Wait, yes, but you also got to see other girls and stuff like he did.
And then when Caesar starts leering at her, like,
okay, no, I'm not talking about that part. I'm talking about the part in the elevator where he's nervous as hell because he knows he's about to see her for the first time since then. Right. That part I was totally fine with. Like, that was a good introduction to Anakin. He's a teenager. He's nervous because the love of his life.
Goddamn adult.
God damn it, Jay. Kirk, go back.
But it just when they're in the elevator, just like the whole trilogy, like it goes into Phantom Menace, or not Phantom Menace, into the third one, Episode 3, as much where the relationship between Anakin and Obi-Wan, like they talk more about stuff I want to see than what I actually want to see. Like their conversations, like they're talking about get rest from show me that. Like they talk about all these different things, and it's like it's just them being very like boring and just standing next to each other. Like I never see the friendship that's supposed to be established by the end of Episode 3, or that they talk about in the later movies, in the later episodes. And it's just the relationship between them two gets off on the wrong foot for me. And then Anakin is very much like when he sees Padme and starts talking. Yeah, we've all been in awkward situations, but I don't think we've ever used lines that cringy and said them out loud because be embarrassed to do so.
George Lucas, do you think he got game?
No, but I'm saying he's like, I think he thinks this is like really good, really romantic talk. I think he thinks he's writing like a great love story, and it's awful the whole way through. So I mean, yeah. And then if we're talking about like the assassination scene again, so much dialogue between Obi-Wan and Anakin. Like Brian said, it's like there's two different people. They're not in the same room with each other. Like they're just saying things. And
every line in this movie feels like somebody's just delivering. Okay, now read this line. Okay, now you read this line, and we'll splice it all together.
And that's what the talk they're having before Padme gets the worms come in is just like that. And then the chase scene it's like I agree with Jay, his dialogue there, like joking about the car and everything, and then just the gags and stuff like that. It's not that fun. It's not a very fun chase scene to watch. But so yeah, I mean, I don't hate it as much as these two guys, I don't think, but not a fan.
I feel like I'm just talking to a wall this whole episode.
If you want to cam off, we'll cover it.
What's that?
If you want to just cam off, we'll cover it.
Oh, no, I'm good. Anyway, fast forward a little bit. Obviously, they catch the assassin. The assassin gets killed by Jango Fett. We get the first introduction to Jango. What, Jay?
You totally skipped over me, dude.
You already talked about it.
Okay. I see how it is.
Did you not already talk about it?
No.
Fine, Jay. Fucking go.
No. I see what you're trying to do there, though.
Okay.
No. Rose Byrne getting blown up. Funny as shit. I'm not gonna lie. It's terrible that they allowed it to even happen. Like they knew that it was bombed. It wasn't like on the platform itself. It didn't come from the platform itself. That's where it supposedly came from. But the ship's the thing that blows up. Nobody shot anything at it. This bomb was literally attached to this ship the entire ride, and nobody was like, maybe we should do something about that. They literally let Rose Byrne be blown out of her shoes. She's walking down the gangplank, has shoes on. She gets blown up, no more shoes. Great continuity there, though. I will give it that. Great fucking continuity. Anakin, creepy as shit. To agree with what Kirk said, when they talk about falling into like the nest of Gundarks, that's something that I want to see. Show me a quick little flashback. Give me something there, because it's better than anything that's about to happen in the next 20 minutes of this movie. I would much rather that we can move on. Zam Wessel gets killed by Jango Fett.
That was a bigger problem, I think, is he showed us all the stuff we didn't care about and didn't show us all the stuff we wanted to see, whether it be the Clone Wars, whether it be the relationship between them. Instead, he gives us all this political stuff, and it's like,
Clone Wars haven't started yet at this point.
I'm saying, in addition to the beginning, at the end, we would have rather see more Clone Wars, but then they stopped just to get it interesting, and then Episode 3 picks up when they're basically over.
All right. Anyway, we get an introduction to Jango Fett, like a teaser of him. They decide that this is where the downfall of the movie is, where they send Anakin off to Naboo with Padme, and Obi-Wan goes to find out the location of the dart, which I know Jay's probably got all sorts of juice. So I guess we'll just go right back to Jay for the Dax scene.
It's a Caminoan saber dart. Dexter Jetster. No, actually, one of my favorite things about this movie happens right before Zam Wessel gets killed. Obi-Wan and Anakin walk into that little bar, And he's like, you look for him. What are you gonna do? I'm gonna go have a drink. Baller move. Baller move. And then the dude comes up and is like, hey, you want to buy some death sticks? You don't want to sell me death sticks. But you get to see Obi-Wan Kenobi like do the mind trick that, you know, everybody knows it in episode 4. Everybody knows it in The New Hope. But it was, you know, this is the first time you actually get to see him do it. So I like that they're building a little bit of continuity with this character. And Dexter Jetster, did you really need to go there? Like, you have no backstory with this person, but it's like, oh, I'm gonna go see an old friend to find out about this. You know, and droids at the fucking Jedi Temple don't look at anything but symbols. It's the little notches on the dart that let you know where it comes from. You're gonna tell me you didn't plan a droid to look for that shit too? Come on, man. Come on, man.
And also the fact he's in a 1950s diner.
Why is that? Why is the sound in that just like a new age version of What's New Pussycat? Did you listen to the background music there? That's literally what it is. I agree with Kurt. Why is the 1950s there?
Well, first of all, I'm just enjoying your body language. Just like, fuck you guys.
So defensive right now.
Dexter Jetster, that whole scene was just silliness, and I think it comes down to where George Lucas, I think, couldn't decide. I mean, he says he made these movies for kids, and he tries to say that the first 3 movies were made for kids too, but they weren't. They clearly were made. You know, yes, everyone could enjoy them, but they were not as aimed as kids as a lot of the stuff in these prequels are. But then at the same time, he bores the kids with, you know, all the political talk and things like that. So you get the Dexter Jetster and stuff like that. We're not going to get to Naboo quite yet. I want to say this. Since we're going through the movie chronologically, that's how we're going to do this. I want to say that in regards to the dialogue, George Lucas writes shitty dialogue, and we all know that. The problem is he can make even great actors sound horrible. Liam Neeson in the first one. Natalie Portman's a good actor. Samuel L. Jackson is a good actor. But all of them sound horrible delivering his dialogue. I think that of all of them, Ewan McGregor comes the closest to pulling it off. I think that in his scenes, even in the Dexter Jetster scenes and these other ones, I think that he comes the closest to sounding natural and putting out a good performance despite what he's given to work with. But as far as everything pre Naboo and stuff with Dexter Jetster and that, I just think it was just kind of like whatever.
All right, here's what we're gonna do. Let's just go ahead, knock out all of Naboo right now, and be done with it. Because this is the one part where I'm actually going to agree with you guys on everything. We don't need to go to Camino next. We can just kind of put all that stuff after.
You're skipping over like 20 minutes of terrible dialogue and like a kind of cute scene with Yoda and some younglings, though.
The younglings, yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, you want to talk about the whole youngling? I'm not. I'm just saying that because we're gonna get to Camino, we're gonna get to all that kind of stuff. It's just like, do we just want to get the Naboo stuff out of the fucking way?
Well, no, we got to get to it when we get to it. You can't just like, let's jump to this so everybody can shit on this.
That's what he's saying. Do you have something to say about the stuff before that? Youngling, say it now.
Yes.
Then go.
Yes. I like that scene, but it also shows that, like, you know, the Jedi kind of indoctrinate people. It's why they didn't really want to train Anakin in the first place in that movie, but they're using the mind of a child to figure out like a different way to look at things. Oh, you know, maybe it's been erased from the records, but this is also like at the point where Anakin and Padme are heading to Naboo, but she literally is like, don't look at me like that. Why? Because it makes me uncomfortable. And then 20 minutes later we get fucking Naboo. Okay, now we can move forward. You just can't skip over that piece of dialogue.
Anyone else want to add the youngling conversation to it? Because to me,
it was funny. Shut up.
It's nothing soon.
I have nothing to add to that.
Kirk?
He wouldn't have gotten there without that scene.
You have to establish the younglings here, so when they get killed in episode 3, they get slaughtered in episode 3. We care about them.
I mean, okay.
Because otherwise, like, where'd all these dead kids come from?
Non-vax.
Okay, that was worth it just for that line right there.
They should have that line in the movie. Where do all these dead kids come from?
Jimmy Smith just comes out of nowhere. Where do all these dead kids come from?
Anakin looks at the camera.
Jim face.
The Curb Your Enthusiasm theme song plays over. All right. Let's go.
Naboo. Who wants to go first on Naboo?
I'm sure Jay wants to, but we're not gonna go to Jay.
I'm not gonna go first. I'm not gonna go first. Let's let the guy who actually said that he would agree with everybody on this scene go first, though. This guy.
But I pretty much already said what I didn't like about it. Everyone all pointed at me. You guys all suck. Naboo is just god awful. Whether it is the flying mango scene, the very sexual fireplace couch scene. That's the whole talk in the flower bed about Padme's first love, and then the whole stupid I'm gonna ride this horse-looking thing and pretend I got hurt. Like, there's everything about it. It's so damn bad. Which, like I said, if you fast forward through the Naboo scenes, Attack of the Clones is actually really good. The dialogue's cringeworthy bad. It's very soap opera-ish, which is probably where George Lucas got a lot of his ideas, because he watched soap opera and like, that's how love is, and decided to write it that way. Problem is that you can tell Natalie Portman knows that this stuff is shit, but she's gonna do her job because she's a fucking professional. And Hayden Christensen, he's not a bad actor. I've seen him in things. He's not a bad actor. But the dude literally is acting like he does not know how to read a line, except for the sand line. Because, that was his best delivery in the entire movie.
Yes, that is the infamous line to focus on, the sand line. It gets hurt.
Yeah, the sand line.
It's rough. Not smooth like you. That's not creepy at all.
Bro, yeah, like, how you going?
Yeah, no,
fall down a well. I mean, like, it puts the.
I'd be like, Captain Typho, we need some security. Come on.
Honestly, the whole flower bed scene is to me probably the worst part. Like,
I also think that big fat horse thing she was riding, that is the worst CGI in the movie.
That is terrible. Yeah,
where he's just like he's surfing and then he just
flies off, and there's a whole moment where you're supposed to like feel the chemistry between them and fall in love, and I was not feeling anything except for creepy Anakin.
They grab and like roll, and she ends up on top of him.
You know what that reminds me of? You know the scene in Groundhog Day where they have that really good first date, and then like he's trying to recreate it later and he can't get the magic back, and he's like he's trying to roll around through the snow. That's what that scene reminds me of. It's the exact same thing. He's like so forced and gross.
And then it's like what got him even more felt like a stalker, like an abusive relationship to me, was because like, you know, we first see them sitting there in the flowers and talking, and he's like, no, really, tell me about the first time. She's like, oh, the first time was with this boy, blah blah blah. And as soon as she starts telling him the question that he asked, he's like, stop, I don't want to hear any more about this.
Yeah, exactly. He got so butthurt about it. It was just like,
you asked me, motherfucker.
Yeah,
you can't get booty brittle about Paolo like that.
Yeah, I mean that shows just how immature he is, because obviously he got brought up because of the way of the Jedi. He doesn't know how to act around.
I'll say this about this movie and Naboo in particular. Natalie Portman looked good. I mean, the first movie she's 14-year-old and in big flowing gowns and stuff. In the third one, she's all pregnant and stuff. But this one, she's wearing like the open midriff thing. She's wearing that morning after night gown on Naboo. She's wearing that black evening dress low cut thing. So there's something positive about the movies there. I found something positive.
On Tatooine, she looks like she's fresh out of Woodstock, like in the blue getup.
Like the braid.
Although the blue getup kind of did look like a muumuu, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. So,
Kurt, you got anything about Naboo before Jay?
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna focus on that scene with him riding the animal and then them rolling around in the hay, and just how. It's so like there's no chemistry between them at all. That's what really the movie collapses under the weight of that. Just how uncomfortable those two seem together, and like Brian said, it's very likely they were never in the same room together because Lucas pieced parts together. Like it was all just CGI. Everything.
When they were in the same room together, he would say, okay, I liked your take on this one. I liked your take on this one. So he'd take different takes and put them together.
Yeah.
So.
And everything, I mean, even the most simple scenes are all in front of a green screen, so there's like nothing real. There's nothing there. It's like cotton candy. There's nothing to cling on to. It's just so fake. Everything about it. That's the problem with these whole movies. Everything just feels fake. But like, especially, I mean, this is the epitome of that. It's so fake.
All right, Jay, you're loose. Go.
I mean, they touched the majority on it, but let's be real here. This is bad. This is you talk about Attack of the Clones. You know what nobody talks about? This. You know what everybody talks about? This. You know, nobody talks about the movie in general when they talk about how good this movie is. You're the only person. You're the only person. You and George Lucas.
That's so not true.
You and George Lucas.
I pretend the Naboo shit didn't happen.
I don't like the roll through the flower fields. I don't like the levitating mango scene. Why are you guys sitting on opposite sides of this long ass table? Why are you eating fruit with a fork and a knife? Where did this chemistry, quote unquote, come from? You were literally just dressing him down in front of your head of security 15 minutes ago. What the fuck? Make up your goddamn mind. No.
I'm
haunted by the memory of your kiss, hoping that it won't turn into a scar. Get the fuck out of here. Next. For the love of God, next.
There is no reason to believe that these two people, it would be attracted to him or like him at all. It just, the scripted, that like, Luke and Leia need parents, so these two need to fall in love. That's it.
No, she's a hard
At best, I
nine.
could have fallen for like, hey, they're young, let's have a one night stand. I did not feel
No, she's
love
a hard
at all.
nine. He's an easy 4.5. He's swinging way outside his weight class.
I mean, everyone swings outside their weight class when it's Natalie Portman, let's be honest. But
Maybe he had a long lightsaber. Just saying.
Schwartz was strong with him on that one. God. Wow. Brian's taking it one way. All right. Are we done with Naboo? Are we done with all the fucking Naboo romantic shit?
Sure.
Geonosis.
Sure.
Or Tatooine, I mean. All right. Let's to me go more positive, which I know Jay's gonna be like, no, this is horrible too. So we get to Camino. Obi-Wan gets to Camino because he finds out from the younglings, from Yoda, that there's a planet called Camino, where the dark's from. What?
He doesn't find that out from them. He just finds out where it's at from them. He finds out about Camino. No, he finds out about Camino from Dexter Jettster.
Yeah, but he finds the location from the younglings.
No.
Yeah, they said, look at that spot there. That's probably where it's at.
No,
he points to that spot and says there's a gravitational pull there.
There's a
and then the youngling explains. All the younglings explain is why it's not there is someone deleted it. Ooh, here's a revelation.
Yoda said you should go there.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyway, so I went there.
I'm trying to get forward, and Jay's just trying to go, no. Yeah.
I'm gatekeeping correct information.
Being Palpatine in Revenge of the Sith. He's like, no.
Careful, Jay. You're going to put him back into crossed arms mode again.
Oh, fuck you, Brian. Anyway, we go to Camino. What's the name of the tall alien?
Anwi.
Of course, Brian knows that.
The Archer's Lama Su.
Oh, which one? Yeah.
No, I was talking about the female one that's walking him around, kind of showing him everything.
I think that's Tanwi.
Oh,
okay.
Fucking Boba says her name too.
It might be Tanwi. Now that I like visualize that name being said by Jango or Boba. But anyway, we get to Camino. We find out that they've been building clones of this one soldier who's Jango Fett. Lama Su. Thank you, Kevin, who's off screen.
I said Lama Su, but that's not her. The Prime Minister is Lama Su, the one that he talks to after she introduces.
Is Tanwi.
That's Tanwi.
Yeah,
but Lama Su is the Prime Minister.
Yeah. Anyway, we find out about the clone army. We get introduced to Jango and Boba. Which, yes, if you want to talk about horrible acting and children horrible acting at that is the key. Hi, Haley Steinfeld. I'm gonna bet that was Jay because he looks guilty.
I have my phone connected to my headphones and my sound bar's off, so now let's try it.
That was all Kirk.
Brian because it sounds like he was on with.
It was
Wikipedia.
me. It was me.
It was Kirk. Okay. Anyway,
I know what he's googling. Anyway,
I'm trying to throw people under the bus.
Anyway,
Haley Steinfeld, obviously.
Yeah. Anyway, we find out about the clone army, and we introduce Jango and Boba. Boba's done horribly by that child actor. I thought he was horrible in the movie. But we get, a standoff between Jango and Obi-Wan, which I thought was a fun, good fight in the rain, which we never got in any of the Star Wars movies at that time. But Jay's going to find a way to backtalk that. But yes, I thought it was a good introduction to Jango. Something that we never got fully with Boba Fett was to see someone in Mandalorian armor kind of be a badass. And going up against someone of the caliber of Obi-Wan, it was a pretty even fight, and it was also done in the rain. I really liked that interaction between them, and I like that Jango was smart and clever enough to know that Obi-Wan knew who he was, and vice versa. I like that Jango wasn't, not stupid, but that he was clever enough to figure out Obi-Wan right away. And I liked that whole interaction with Jango and them. Now Boba, I could literally do without Boba, but anyway.
But that's a problem that's Boba Fett. Like, again, I mean, this goes back to the whole thing. Like, why do we need child Boba? Like, why couldn't Jango just be Boba Fett? And if you want to do Jango Fett, why do we need Boba Fett? Why does that have to be just a dumb introduction or a reimagining, whatever you want to call it, to that character? Like, just leave him out of it altogether. Like, it just really kind of ruined that character. Like you said, is the Boba Fett, who was like this cool, mysterious character, is now this like Episode 1, Darth Vader, this awesome character, is now this whiny, stupid little child. Episode 2, Boba Fett, who was this cool, mysterious character, is now this whiny, stupid little child. Like, why did he double down on that? It's ridiculous.
I agree. They could have done without Boba Fett, and they could have just made it an older Jango with Boba Fett. They could have done that, and I would have been 100% fine with it. Brian, thoughts on Camino?
I didn't have any real complaints about Camino, except Daniel Logan is not a good actor. I mean, he later went on to voice Boba in the young clones in the Clone Wars series and stuff, and he was fine, I guess. But I don't know. Jango, I actually found mostly kind of boring. I think the fight in the rain could have been cool. I mean, when you first ignites the lightsaber, you see some sparks and stuff from the rain. I thought that was kind of cool. Then they abandoned that. He's slicing it through puddles and it's not even making any steam or anything. But I just thought the fight didn't make sense because Obi-Wan could easily just force push him off the edge and stuff like that. And he tied his hands together so he couldn't get his lightsaber. It's use the force and pull your lightsaber to you. You've done it 100 times. So I thought it was clunkily choreographed. While it was one of the better scenes of the movie, I think, because I didn't have many complaints about it, I still was just kind of okay, whatever. But I will say Camino is one of the less painful parts of the movie.
Jay?
CGI dropkicks.
Okay, I will admit that one was bad.
CGI
and deleted headbutts in the UK edition.
There are 3 of them in this fight in the span of 4 minutes. There are 3, and they all look bad.
I will admit that Obi-Wan jumping through the air super high and kicking Jango did not look good.
At all.
No, I'm not going to defend that.
You can't.
Anything else on Camino besides CGI dropkicks?
No.
Why is this the first time we're hearing about Jedi Master Sifo Dyas?
That's what I was going to bring up.
You know what? When I saw the movie, I completely thought that Sifo, because they say Sifo Dyas, I thought it was going to turn out to be Sidious. Darth Sidious had been there. Because why else would they say Sifo Dyas? Just sounds Yeah. But then they never came anything of it. Apparently, it is a whole different guy, and it makes no sense that we've never heard this guy. This guy decided to make the clones, but keep it a secret. But he's not part of the thing with. So who knows?
Let me ask you this: is he in the EU?
I don't know.
I'm asking.
Yeah, he is. There's been they've had things expanded to him. I think.
Yeah. I think then that word
he gets killed by Tyrann. He gets killed by a bounty hunter. As a matter of fact,
but he is a whole separate character.
Yeah. No, he is a character. He has a backstory. Huh?
I think that was more George, tipping the hat to the people who actually read the EU.
No. He didn't exist before that. He exists after.
Yeah.
After this, he wasn't.
Create a backstory.
Then I retort what I just said.
Yeah. No, they put him in after this. They made up his story after episode 2, but he wasn't a pre-existing character.
Okay, I thought it was more or less like George going, "Well, I want to. This is going to be for the fans that actually read the stuff." I thought that's what that.
George's even aware of what's in this stuff.
Yeah, well, okay, true. Yeah. So, and then we get the asteroid chase scene as well, which for surround sound purposes, that scene is fucking great. No.
I did like the Sonic imploder, yeah.
Yeah, that Sonic was done beautifully. I could have done without Boba Fett's little laugh. God, that was so bad. So bad. But I thought that was a solid chase scene.
Yeah, that was fun.
Obi-Wan. I guess now we'll go to Tatooine, where easily one of the worst death scenes is ever shot. Yes, Anthony Glars. So Anakin goes to Tatooine because he has dreams about his mother, which also was something that was brought up completely random, that he can dream the future. That was never brought up earlier, so that was just a random thing that happened. But he basically meets Lars, as Jay likes to say, he gets to meet the whole family, find out that his mom got sold to this guy, and then this guy basically owned her and then married her, which was also a big yikes.
Well, no, because even Watto says straight up, I heard the Frieda that made her.
Jay, I was going to skip over Watto because of what you did in episode 1, but you had to bring him back in. I was going to skip him. I was going to let him go. But Jay, no, you had to bring Watto back in.
You can't skip over Watto. Watto is the reason why he finds them.
I was
Watto's the key to all this.
Yes, we get Watto back, where Jay loves doing Watto voice. He does it way too well. Just like Mark does George Lucas way too well. It's too bad he's not here to do the explanations like he did in episode 1. It leads to the Lars family, which then we find out that Shmi was taken by the Sand People. Anakin obviously goes to the Sand People and he finds Shmi.
Whoa.
Oh my god.
Tusken Raiders. Sand People is a derogatory term.
God damn it. Anyway, Tusken Raiders, where we get one of the worst deaths acted in anything. Because Shmi's death. It was just like, God, you defended this actress in episode 1.
She was good in episode 1.
Oh my God,
in the first screening I ever saw of this movie, when everyone is supposedly really into the movie, there was so much laughter when she died.
Yes,
it was supposed to be like this dramatic, dramatic scene. It's so sad, and it's like, no, we're all laughing. She's like,
like rigor mortis said it too. She was like, I mean, people don't lay like that.
Anyway,
and then I liked the follow up to this, which is where we finally, the music changes and we start to see the slight start of the transformation of Anakin, where he just goes boss on all the Tusken Raiders, which I liked. I thought that was a great moment for the Anakin character, that we got to see him with him looking down, and then you hear the violin hit, and you see him look up, and then he just is like, fuck all these things, I'm killing them all, which I thought was a great moment for the
not just the men, but the women and the children.
I'm not talking about the aftermath part. I'm talking about
I slaughtered them like animals.
I hate them. I had to finish.
I made one into a nice little wallet.
Kirk, you're the only one who didn't pitch in on the Shmi death.
It was dumb. It was dumb. And again, I mean, it was just like, I feel like, and again, I mean, I'll talk about this in a minute with everything else going into like when he kills the Raiders. I feel like I'm watching this story on fast forward. It's like, I do feel like the first movie, I agree with you, Sean. The first movie shouldn't have happened. There was no point to the first movie. The first movie could have been the opening crawl of this movie, and then we got right into it. So Lucas painted himself in a corner where he had 2 movies to tell a 3-story movie. And so everything's getting fast forward. So like, we have to have something bad happens to Shmi dies. So he kills a bunch of Tusken Raiders. And then, so this is his bigger evil turn, but that's all he does. And there's 0 consequences. Nobody really gets upset about it. And
no one cares about Tusken Raiders.
Yeah, but still, it's like, he slaughters all these people. And then it's like, oh, okay. All right. You killed all these people. And then he doesn't do anything evil again until episode 3. And he just goes, and then that's 0 to 60. He's like, it's like, you could save Padme. I'm going to murder a bunch of children immediately.
Yeah, but if Obi-Wan had been in Tatooine and he had heard what he had done. I mean, things would have been done differently. Padme is drunken with love over and what, Jay?
But
think
again,
Jay's something to say.
is that okay? She's so in love with this guy that I just slaughtered all these people. Oh, it's okay.
She doesn't know the people. I mean, I'm not defending that. What I'm just saying, it was it's one of those things where she was so kind of just like in the like I don't know this place kind of thing that she just kind of let Anakin kind of just do his thing. What were you gonna say, Jay? That you look like you're about
to accomplice.
That is accomplice. Yes.
Yoda literally listens. He's in his little meditation chamber
true.
and he's listening to the lightsaber, the screams of the Tusken Raiders, his anger, his rage, and the sound of a lightsaber slicing through not only the men, but the women and children. And nothing comes of it. They don't reprimand him for it whatsoever.
That's a George Lucas issue. That's not.
That's an episode 2
a movie issue.
Yeah,
that's a big old movie issue.
I got no defense for that. I agree. You brought it. What? Like what? I'm not gonna defend everything about this damn movie.
I didn't think you were. I didn't think you were. It's just something that like wasn't pointed out that I really wanted to point out. Look, okay, if this movie does one thing, this movie does the arrogance of Jedi really well. I will say that.
The whole trilogy does that.
This movie in particular does that with lines from Mace Windu. Oh no, Tyrannus is a spokesperson. He was a Jedi. Assassination's not what he would do. Bitch, he fell to the dark side. That's legitimately what he would do.
It's arrogance and incompetence because they're just like, oh no, we don't need to do anything about this.
No, I mean they could have done so much and stopped so much, and they just chose not to. I agree with that. So yeah, I mean, there's not really much more on Tatooine. I mean, now we go basically to Geonosis.
I mean, there's that scene where he discusses it with Padme. That is another one where you're supposed to be seeing emotion from him, and it just comes across so cringy. I mean, it's like, someday I'll be the most powerful Jedi of all.
I mean,
I'll make it so no one even dies. Like, oh my god, dude.
Nobody's paying attention to him in that scene, anyways.
No one's paying attention to him. His overacting. We're all just looking at Natalie Portman. No problem. To be honest. But no, I mean, but that line though, it does lead into the events of Revenge of the Sith though, with his whole motivation.
Yeah, which is why it should have been done better if it's going to be such a pivotal moment.
I agree.
Anyway, that's all Tatooine.
Now we go to Geonosis, which to me is where the movie starts to get great. I know we're an hour and something into the movie at that point, but this to me, I love pretty much the rest of the movie from here on out. Obi-Wan gets caught once again, arrogance in that sense. Because could Obi-Wan have gotten out of the situation? Absolutely, but he went in half-cocked and he got caught. Then we finally get to see Dooku for the first time, who I thought Christopher Lee did a great job as Dooku. He's not overdoing it. He's doing, I wouldn't say the bare minimum, but he's doing it in the way that like he is a Jedi. Like he's not giving a full on performance, but he's doing the reserved kind of thing, where I think works great for what Dooku is. We get that whole conversation with him in Obi-Wan when Obi-Wan's floating, which that I can't defend that device. That whole device is like silly with Obi-Wan like it's the whole just spinning around kind of thing.
Totally till he's wearing a wire harness.
Wait, so yeah, Padme, they get the stress call. Don't the Jedi just decide not to do anything about it? If I remember, doesn't like
Mason a strike force?
Like, but doesn't like Mason? Then they just tell Anakin he has to stay put. That's right. Which Padme's just like, fuck you, I'm going. And then of course they get caught. We get that whole sequence where we finally get R2 being R2, which I know Jay's gonna go plot armor, plot device.
Plot armor D2.
It's R2D2. Don't you blaspheme R2D2. He's the best character in the Star Wars galaxy. Brian, I see that face. Don't do that. Yeah, R2. We get some great R2. We get some actual good comedy. I would say with 3PO, who hasn't really done jack crap in the franchise so far.
I had such an issue with that whole droid factory sequence because it basically felt like they designed it to be a video game level. So you can go into this, jump over this, there's a conveyor belt, and you can do this, and then you have a C-3PO doing just bad random comic relief, and it felt just so shoehorned in, like, ooh, we need some kind of an action sequence here, and then so they made this video game there.
I don't think C-3PO's body would work the way the CGI made him move. Like when he falls and he grabs, I was like, I've never seen 3PO like grab like that. I think 3PO would have died.
And his fingers don't work like that. His fingers are just like this permanently.
Yeah, I don't think 3PO.
You only hold something that's just like wedge it in there.
Yeah, they're not articulated.
Yeah. Kirk, any thoughts on that sequence, the robot warehouse sequence?
Yeah, it's like a big Rube Goldberg machine. It feels like I'm playing Mousetrap. It's just, and it just like they threw CGI up on you. It's like bleh, CGI, and it's everywhere. And there's no connection to reality. It just fake thing. There's nothing to ground you in those movies. I mean, you watch the original trilogy, and I mean, yeah, there's a lot of special effects, but I mean, they are where they are. You know, when they're in the desert, they are in the desert. When they're, everything has some base.
Real.
It feels real, yeah. And nothing in this. It feels like air. It feels like I can't even say it feels like a cartoon, because a cartoon feels like it has more texture than this. We're
talking about that more in the arena scene, but
yeah.
I think with this scene in particular, not that it would have worked where it would have gone. This is something that would be good for like an opening scene of a movie, with the whole like everything the way it happens. Like that's how you start a movie, is with something like that, like Indiana Jones. Like that's an Indiana Jones, like how a movie would start, like where he's like being chased by the bad guys and he's going through the conveyor belts and stuff like that. That's not something you do 3/4 through the film, because yes, it's a very antic heavy scene. And it just amounts to them getting caught. They just wanted to throw another action sequence in, which they didn't need because we were about to get a plenty of action sequences coming up. But yeah, and then the whole fake out that Padme burns or is gonna burn in the bowl, where it's like it drops, it shows the thing and it shows it come down, and then you see Padme in another bowl. It's like we didn't need the fake out. Like we know Padme's not gonna die because she's fucking Luke and Leia's mother. Like, just go through it. Like, you don't need
spoilers. That. We aren't on 3 yet.
Anyway. So they get caught. Then we get to the actual, what, Jay?
No. When they enter into that place, when they enter into the Foundry, and you see all the Geonosians coming out of the walls, I actually like that. I thought that was really cool. That's a very like horror-esque scene right there. And if they continued with that theme rather than what we got, it could have been a lot better. But
I actually like the Geonosian creatures.
Yeah, it's good character design on those things.
Yeah, I thought that was really well done. And they weren't they weren't smart, but they weren't battle droid stupid. Mm-hmm. They actually could potentially hold their own for the most part. Not against Jedi, obviously, but yeah, no, I like that sequence as well. I like that Jay stopped me so he could give props to something. That makes me happy.
Yeah, so next time when I say something, don't just be like, oh, fuck it, what, Jay?
I'm sorry, this whole episode is just a bunch of butt hurt. The whole
Hold on.
I'm fine.
I'm sorry, hold on 1 second.
Oh, no.
I'm terrified of what he's doing right now.
What, Jay?
No comment for that. So anyway, they get caught. We get one last soap opera moment until we finally actually get to the thick of the action of the movie.
Yeah, when they're on the little chariot thing.
Yeah, the little chariot thing. And she's like, "I've died every moment." Or what's the line? Jay,
you ride the chariot in front of the fake background again.
Oh yeah, I've died every moment since I kissed you. I don't want some stupid shit like that.
Yeah, which he delivered it at least. So it was bad, but it wasn't as bad if it had been like Anakin saying that. But yeah,
every moment since I've kissed you.
Yeah, which basically she
will die of sadness.
Even though I bullshitted you through this entire film, now I'm going to say I love you. It's just like, okay, whatever. Then we get to the Geonosis gladiator sequence, which, like I said, I like this. I thought it was fun. I love the creatures. We don't get enough creatures in the Star Wars galaxy in terms of like sequences like this. You know, I mean, yes, we have plenty of creatures in the Star Wars galaxy, but like in terms of actual creatures interacting with the characters, fighting the characters. I mean, outside of like the Rancor and stuff like that. Padme holds her own. Also, I mean, we know Padme is capable, but she holds her own. She climbs the thing. She actually gets hurt in this.
That lock.
Yeah, she picks the lock. She climbs up that pole thing, and then she starts whipping people with the chain. I thought that was, or not people, but the creatures.
Conveniently loses the middle section of her outfit again.
I mean,
not complaining about that.
No, I was gonna say, like, you're gonna complain about that,
No.
Ryan?
No, the arena scene with the creatures and stuff, the Acklay and all those, up until the Jedi show up, I actually enjoyed the arena scene.
It was fun, and I even though we aren't fans of them, I love the part where she gets out of the chain and Viceroy's like, she cheated, kill her. It's just like, I love it.
Don't do that.
Yeah, I actually enjoyed that part. It's just, I like that the Viceroy are still kind of just like, they hate her so much, kind of thing. That was like the last good moment the Viceroys had besides dying in the third film. But yeah, I mean, so we get to have a nice little action sequence with those two fighting off the creatures. Then, of course, we get the Jedi attack. Mace Windu comes in. He does the lightsaber to Jango's throat. Yeah, party's over. And then, yes, the basically the birthing of like a shitload of Jedi that we've never seen. Random generic Jedis coming in, fighting, getting shot by Jango. A whole big fight sequence in there, which leads to the death of Jango Fett, which I thought was a badass death. You're gonna go out like that. But yeah, I mean, like I said, that's that part. I don't like a bunch of generic Jedi. But I like the parts that when we got to see our actual characters, I like the sequence. I just wasn't a fan of all the generic Jedis that were in there. I would rather have like 10 Jedi that we know, like 5 to 10, than like 30 Jedi that we don't know a single one of them.
The problem is all of the generic Jedi, and even the Jedi we do know, even with Obi-Wan and Anakin in this, they look like they're doing exactly what they were doing, which is just swinging at air, and they were later on going to put in battle droids and stuff where they needed to be to get a shot blocked or to get them cut in half, but they're like dancing around, spinning around with like no resistance to it, and it just looked so completely fake, every single Jedi fighting that scene.
There's one shot of Anakin where he literally is just, they have him like, and he literally is just doing
They just told people to swing their lightsabers around, they were going to put in battle droids getting cut in half wherever they happen to swing it, and it looked exactly like that's what they did, and so I didn't like that part. Now, like when Mace Windu was walking up, you saw him walking up the tunnel. I thought that was cool, and then when he got to cut off Jango's head, obviously that was awesome. I was still though expecting when Boba picked up the helmet for the head to fall out.
No, you see the head bounce out of the helmet. That's just it. Yeah, yeah. When his helmet hits the ground, you can see something bounce out.
They probably did. They probably add that in to explain why he didn't fall out when he picked up the helmet.
I don't think I ever saw something bounce out of the helmet, but every time
go back and rewatch that scene.
I'm expecting the head to just go.
You see a shadow of something that has hit the ground at the exact same time as the helmet go rolling in the opposite direction.
So while part of me was like, I've always wanted to see like the Jedi do their thing, I was watching this going, this is not it. This is just like this actually, they took what could have been super cool and made it kind of lame.
Well, that's just because everyone's also just shooting blasters at them, and Jedi are the most boring when people shoot at them. Because it's just them going this. Now, if you had other people with, like the Stormtrooper in 7, where he's got the stick that can actually go up against a lightsaber, there's what we want to see, not just them just doing parry of blasters. But then obviously we get Mace gets to have his badass moments, because he's Samuel L. Jackson and it's in his contract. He's got to have a badass moment. But Kirk, thoughts on that particular sequence?
Yeah, I honestly didn't mind the fact that there were all the generic Jedi, because again, that's one of the things I wanted to see with these movies. We hit in the original trilogy, we hear all these stories about the Jedi Order, the Jedi Knights, everything, and we only ever get to really the one or two of them. But I wanted to see, okay, what was it like when there were just Jedi everywhere and when they were like a full force to be reckoned with. So I didn't mind that. I agree with Brian. I mean, some of the CGI and some of the acting and everything, and that's the entire movie. This entire trilogy is people acting against nothing, and that's a big problem of it. And but yeah, I mean, I liked seeing just a bunch of Jedi show up and trying to do something. It didn't, it may have not visually worked out well, but like I said, I wanted to see Jedis in action, and I got Jedis in action. This is one of the things I was talking about when I thought about the prequels, what we would see, and that's something I wanted. So,
Jay,
I don't need Samuel L. Jackson typecast as a badass who gets quippy one-liners.
he's like that in every movie.
Exactly. This is literally the chance for him not to be that person, and they still just shoehorned him right into it. Cool.
See, I disagree.
The Jedi can't do shit. The Jedi get fucking... Oh, go ahead.
I just want to say real quick, I disagree with that. Like, I don't think this is a very big Samuel L. Jackson role. I think Mace Windu is a very bland character. I don't think there's much to him. I wish they would have let Samuel L. Jackson a little off the chain.
Sam Jackson be Sam Jackson as a Jedi.
Yeah,
that would have been cool.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, I understand. It's almost like, because I know
Jedi.
If you remember when this movie came, when they were making this movie, like he petitioned, like he said publicly, I want to be in this movie, and it was like, okay, you get to be, Jedi number 3, and like it was just like did not like give any. They didn't say, oh, we got Sam Jackson, let's do something cool with Sam Jackson. It was like, no, he's going to be this very vanilla character that was going to be there anyway, or may not have been in there, but we'll just throw in this character.
Or chocolate and vanilla, but yeah.
But it is very. But yeah, I mean, I wish it would have been more Sam Jackson to base with it. But I'm sorry, Jay.
No, I don't need quippy one-liners. I really don't. Like, everybody has a problem with it. In the new trilogy, they're quippy one-liners. I think it works. I think it fits a little bit better there than it does here. Because nobody really had... You have one Jedi who is a master of sass, and that's fucking ObiWan Kenobi. But the Jedi Strike Force doesn't do a fucking thing here. They really don't. They're getting their asses handed to them by those B2 battle droids and the droidicas in the fucking arena. The only thing that saves their ass is this magic Jedi army that came out of fucking, goddamn it, nowhere. How did Yoda get there fast enough to gather the troops, to send them out? The logistics of, I get it, it's a fantasy movie. Suspend the belief because it's a science fiction movie. But come on, dude. Like, the logistics of that makes absolutely no sense. How did he get from Coruscant to Camino, from Camino with all those damn droids, with all those damn clones, to Geonosis that just happened to get there at the right time to save that Jedi Strike Force?
But again, that goes back to this whole movie and this whole trilogy having no basis in reality, nothing physical, nothing real to cling to. It's like, oh, they got to be there, so they're there. They just appear. They just teleport out of nowhere. That's this whole thing.
I know, but it doesn't make any sense when you look at it. And that's what we're doing here. We're taking a look. We're analyzing it. So if I didn't at least bring it up, I would be remiss.
No, you're accurate. And I'm watching Jango Fett die here, and his head goes flying, and there's 2 shadows.
Yeah,
and one is the helmet and lands on the ground, and the other one keeps flying.
So it's the shadow you see. Okay.
Yeah, you see like the shadow of the head going. Yeah, it's very fast, but you do see it.
You should clip that scene in when we're talking about it. Just
No,
and just like MS Paint, draw a circle around it and be like head. It was at this point Jango Fett knew he fucked up.
No, it was when Samuel Jackson's running towards him and he keeps shooting him and Samuel Jackson's just going, bitch, I'm coming.
Bing, 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 bing. You see this? It says BMF. My lightsaber says bad motherfucker run.
Yeah, that's when Dago was like, oh shit. Yeah, when you see Samuel Jackson going
at this point, Jango Fett.
Yeah, no, you know he was dead in 2 seconds flat. But yeah, so anyway, we get through the standoff where Dooku basically says, lay down your sabers. Which, I mean, it's like, just turn them off and put them down. But yeah, then we get the start of the actual Clone Wars, in my opinion, which is the part that I love, because this is the part where I was talking about with Kirk earlier, where you got your toys, you're making a big battle sequence, and the Clone Wars battle is the part that I loved. I love the chaos of warfare, how everyone, there's shooting going all over the place, there's people blowing up all around you. There's the one shot I love is where it's all smoky, like dust, smoky, and you're just seeing red and blue blasters flying through, and then you're seeing stormtroopers walk through it. I love it. I love that visual. I love the way that part goes. I love, of course, now I'm gonna go through a coughing fit while I'm talking. I love that whole sequence of not the chase sequence of Dooku with Obi-Wan and Padme and Anakin, but the Obi-Wan and Mace Windu leading this battle against the Geonosians and the battle droids, where they're having to shoot down the big that was like a big ball ship kind of thing. I love that whole sequence. I love watching that fight. Yes, it is a CGI heavy fight. Everything in it is CG. I get that, but I enjoyed the hell out of it.
Well, here's the thing, though, is that it was all CG, and so everything felt like it melted together. I could watch that scene, and I could buy it as what it was, because it didn't have like human characters standing in the forefront doing this in front of the CG, you know. Now, and I will say, I enjoyed the battle scenes too. I think they were far too brief. Like I said, I thought the entire episode 2 should have been basically the Clone Wars. We could have a lot more of these war scenes, but but instead we were basically say, okay, we're going to show you this, and then we're going to pick up basically at the end of the Clone Wars. And at the time, like I said, we didn't know we were going to get the Clone Wars in the TV series now, because that's basically what people wanted to see. But so for the brief time it was in this movie, yes, I enjoyed that.
Sure.
Yeah, this is definitely my favorite part of the movie. Again, this is what I wanted to see when I was thinking Star Wars prequel. I wanted to see them in action. I knew it was going to get gritty and dirty. I think I agree with you. This is the best looking part of the movie. I think it's the most well directed. I liked how it's shot like a real war movie. I like how he uses the zooms and everything, and like you said, Sean, with like the clouds and the dust and everything shooting through. Lot to like about this scene. This is the high point of the movie.
Jay?
The high point of the movie shouldn't come in the last 20 minutes of the movie.
That's what most movies are like.
No, not the last 20 minutes of the movie. It should be like the last 45 minutes. We got. Well, okay. Let's be real here. We got start of the movie. Dexter Jetster, Tatooine, Geonosis, arena fight, and then you kind of peter out right here. Like, who gets so bored? They got so bored he passed out of that airplane. Let's be real. He passed out in that LAAT. Like, this is just bad, bro. Let's move on. I'm just gonna roast this continuously. Let's move forward.
Anyway,
Okay.
so we get through the Clone Wars battle sequence, and we get down to the showdown. I'm not gonna bring up. Well, I'm gonna bring up right now. Padme falls out of the fucking ship, and we get that whole Anakin wanting to save her, and Obi-Wan telling him to come to his senses and focus on the fight. Which I will admit, it's pretty bad when she's laying there going, and a Clone Wars goes, "You okay?" Yeah, I'm fine.
That little run she does after that.
Yeah, you're just laying there going, and then I'm okay.
Just a weird little hopping run where it looks like she's skipping or something.
Yeah, it's her trying to run through sand. but inevitably we get to the showdown between Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Dooku, which I quite liked because, yes, I mean, in episode 1, we did see Darth Maul be pretty dominant, but even in that sense, Obi-Wan still wins out at the end. Whereas in this one, we are seeing someone who is clearly above Obi-Wan and Anakin and dominates them with ease. Obi-Wan basically gets royally effed up through the entire match, the entire fight sequence. And then I loved when Anakin jumped in. I loved the visuals of them when he cuts the power coupler and it's dark, and we get the visuals of the red and the blue saber in the dark and the flashing back and forth. Yes, I know it's more of them just doing this, but visually it looks great. And then we get the whole cut off the arm. And then I'm gonna stop right there because we know where it's going to come in after that. But I liked that sequence. I loved seeing a Sith that could take 2-on-1 and dominate both of them and not have to worry about, like with Maul, where he had to worry for a force field to kind of break it up. Dooku was just like, nah, bring it. I am better than both of you, and I'll take you both on with no problems. And I'm gonna do the one thing, which I'm gonna knock you guys out of the equation, and I'm gonna physically hurt you, not kill you. I'm gonna physically maim you, and that's what Dooku does. And I really like that sequence. Let's go to Brian first.
I wanted to like it. I thought, it was a little bit stiff in the choreography. I didn't really buy him as like this badass who could beat them both. I'm just surprised he didn't. And then by the time that Obi-Wan gets knocked down, and then you got Anakin up there, and they start doing the whole waving things in the face. It's clearly just, I swear I rewatched that today, and I swear it's like 30 seconds of them just waving the lightsabers in their face before they actually face off, because they wanted to, I guess, show more of what was actually Christopher Lee before they went to the stunt double. But I don't know. I just think that the lightsaber sequences in this and the next one we'll talk about, they were too short and a little stiff.
We're okay compared to the finale on Mustafar. I find that hard to believe, but okay. So Kirk.
Yeah. I honestly don't remember much about it. I didn't hate it. But it's kind of just forgettable. Like, it was a lightsaber fight. I wasn't a big fan of like the close-ups with the. I mean, it looks good from like a visual. Just the visuals itself are pretty cool with like the red and the blue glowing in their faces. But from like the thing of the logistics of the fight, I think it's kind of silly. But overall, I mean, I'm pretty neutral on it.
Go ahead, Jay.
All right, let's be real here. Dooku literally goes like this and shoots fucking force lightning out of his hand at Obi-Wan. Literally, he does this.
I know.
Boy. And I know it's 2002, but like the lightning effect is cheesy. Anakin rushes in, gets easily tossed aside. He shoots lightning at Obi-Wan again. Obi-Wan blocks it with his lightsaber blade. Cool. The fight, not so much. It's just there. It's filler. Like the rest of this movie. It's filler.
Anyway, for me, we get to one of the best sequences. One of my favorite sequences ever, which Jay is going to talk mad shit about, which is Yoda's appearance and Yoda showing how much of a fucking badass he is. I love this sequence. I love that because all we've known as Yoda is that he talks, and people talk about how badass he was as a Jedi and stuff like that. But we never actually got to see it. Here we actually get to see it. I remember to this day, I remember sitting in a sold out theater watching this movie, and when the sequence when Yoda opens up his
cane,
and he pulls out the lightsaber, and just listening to the entire sold out crowd lose their fucking minds, and then seeing Yoda literally just spinning and flipping and going batshit crazy on Dooku. One of my favorite moments in a movie theater ever. Because the atmosphere that I was in that moment was off the charts, and it's quick, rightfully so, because Dooku obviously he can't handle Yoda, and he uses the one thing to get out of it, and that's potentially trying to take out Obi-Wan and Anakin, which is what stops the fight. But like I said, this is one of my favorite scenes of all time, just because of how it made me feel when I saw it for the very first time. And I know you guys are all about to shit all over it, so let's go to Kirk.
No, I actually like this. I know it's not perfect, and I know like it's been nitpicked to death since. But that's the other thing. The two things I wanted out of a Star Wars prequels, I wanted to see a bunch of Jedi in action, and I wanted to see Yoda in action. I wanted to see him do Jedi stuff. I want to see him with a lightsaber. And I know the hardcore Star Wars nerds will tell you it doesn't make sense because he's a master or whatever, and he shouldn't use a lightsaber. I still wanted to see it. I love the surprise of it. I love the moment of it. I love the fact that just him coming out of nowhere. It's like when he shows up, you're like, okay, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Then it happens. And yeah, I mean, like the whirling dervish stuff and the effects of it aren't perfect. But just I love how just them going back and forth. The ending when he puts the lightsaber away and just kind of picks the cane back up and goes back to his little bubble. Yeah, such a great moment. It just tells you so much about that character, like what he really has going on. So I loved it. Again, I said I know it's not perfect, and I can understand why people don't, but I enjoy it.
Brian.
All right, so Yoda shows up, and then we have the most bland, lifeless sequence possibly in the movie, where Count Dooku's like, "I'll throw something from this wall. You gotta catch it. Okay, I'll throw something from this wall. Catch it. There's some stuff from the ceiling.
Lightning.
Catch it. I'm just like, oh my god, this is the stiffest, most boring shit in the world. This is supposed to be like the big villain against Yoda. Now, here's the thing, though. Seeing that, I knew it was coming up. I was at Star Wars Celebration 2 in Indianapolis. When
Humble brag.
I went to all three of them, but the first three. I went to Star Wars Celebration 2 in Indianapolis, and we had heard before then, and there might have even been a teaser that showed that they were going to use a CGI Yoda in this movie, but nobody knew he was going to have an action sequence. We're in this place, in this big convention center, this Star Wars fans from around the world in this place, and they play the sequence when he opens up his tunic, grabs his lightsaber, and starts going nuts. And if you think your theater went crazy at Star Wars Celebration, holy shit, man, that place went nuts. And so I knew that was coming. And sure enough, it came. And even in the theater when I saw it, even though I already had seen that sequence, the place went nuts. And it was exciting because, you wanted to see Yoda be a badass. And he was cool, jumping around like crazy. And that lightsaber sequence, I will actually say, was cool.
Yeah.
This scene starts off with the world's biggest Force dick measuring contest. Let's be real here. You've got, like Brian said, Dooku throwing things from wall A, wall B, and wall C at him. I think the coolest part of this scene, other than, as Kirk would call it, the whirling dervish, is the fact that you get to see something that hasn't really been shown in a Star Wars movie. You get to see somebody catching Force lightning and fucking kamehamehaing it back at the person who shot it. I think that's dope. I will give it that. That is really fucking cool. I still don't like the CGI Yoda. I understand why they did it, and Kirk, I'm a diehard Star Wars fan, bro. I completely disagree. Yeah, he's a Jedi Master. Guess what? Jedi Masters still have to use their fucking lightsabers. But
I thought I've heard.
I know.
I'm not saying I agree.
Kirk agrees with you.
Yeah.
No. I'm agreeing with you.
Okay.
No, I'm just saying, like, people who say that are fucking stupid.
But I mean, like,
you get to see the fact.
The puppet in episode 1 was atrocious.
That was a puppet. Somehow the puppet episode 1 was worse than the one in the last two movies.
I'll take CGI Yoda over that puppet in episode 1.
That puppet was creepy.
That was like
bro.
Down syndrome Yoda or something. I don't know what that was.
That puppet was fucking nightmare fuel.
Shit on CGI Yoda all you want. It was better than what we got initially.
Here's the thing, though. You didn't even let me finish my sentence. You just
I know. I just wanted to get that in. I
Yoda.
don't know how far you're going to go with it. I want to get that in. Continue.
No. So my thing about it is I actually like that fight scene as well, because it shows the fact that Yoda is such a diminutive individual that he has to do this. He has to have this agility and the stamina that belies his age and his physical appearance. And he's 850 fucking years old in this scene, and he's still keeping up with the dinosaur that is Christopher Lee. Rip, love you, miss you, buddy. But still, you get to see this, and this is the best 4 minutes of this movie ever. I'd put this fight scene, I'd put this lightsaber duel up against a lot of other lightsaber duels. This entire interaction between the two of them, this was really good. This is a positive in this movie, and there aren't very many of them, so take them where you get them.
Leading into this, that lightsaber battle, though, I will say was another one of the worst lines of dialogue in the whole movie. It was like, I can see that this cannot be solved by a master of the Force. We must solve this lightsabers. I'm like, oh god.
But that's just Christopher Lee doing Christopher Lee, though. I mean, that's just
doing it badly, then.
Yeah, I mean, that's just Christopher Lee being Christopher Lee. Obviously, after that, I mean, this kind of, I guess, happened before the Yoda thing. We saw the first inkling of the Death Star. We saw the plan. I think that was before the Yoda fight, though. And then we pretty much wrapped it up like right away after that. You have Padme run up to Anakin, Annie, kind of thing, and then we get the moment where we get the first sound of the Imperial March as we see all the Clone Wars marching, which was to me was a great scene because it shows, okay, we know what's coming now. It's happening. Get ready because this next movie is going to basically be the start of that, or is going to show where everything goes. And then obviously we see that moment with Mace and Yoda, even though, like I said, we've been saying through these first two episodes how overly confident and cocky the Jedi are, where this the first time we start to see doubt in their because they're realizing, okay, this is not going the way we want it to go. Things are going to get worse. And then of course we get the wedding, which I'm glad that was super quick. I'm glad they did that wedding like in less than 10 seconds, like because if they would have done that for another 10 minutes, I don't know if I could have.
Oh no, that. You can tell that was reshoots.
Oh yeah, they did that in like we're gonna do the wedding over the end song to get through it. I'm so glad they did that because that would have been.
Sweet. I love Space Enya.
And then his little like take my strong hand, his robot. Take my strong hand. Because that robot arm looked horrible. But yeah, and then we get the end, and then we're at the end of this movie.
Thank God.
Yeah, God. Jay, do you want to finish this part out, the last part? I mean, anything about after the Yoda fight with the Death Star, with the Imperial March, the wedding?
They literally could have done all of that in the first 3 minutes of the next movie. They literally, as soon as Anakin and Obi-Wan wake up from their stupid little nap after they get fucked up by Dooku, because go back and rewatch that scene. Like literally, fucking Obi-Wan sits up and props himself up like he's Jeff Goldblum in the back of the fucking truck. They literally could have hit the credits right there, and we didn't need anything else. They could have done. Oh, hey, look, here's crawl for episode 3 before a 45-minute space, but before a 45-minute space battle. Here's what happened at the end of the last movie. Quick recap. Boom. Okay, cool. 48-minute space battle.
That's not really Star Wars shot, though. They wouldn't do that. Just like the whole flashback stuff. They don't. Up until the new trilogy, they didn't do flashbacks. You know, I'm just like that. George is stuck on a formula.
The Force Ghost is the embodiment of a flashback, sir.
I would say the one problem with this,
that's not called a flashback. It's called exposition.
You're talking about that scene where with Mace and where the Imperial March and you see the clones. No, that's cool because I mean that's really the first moment where you realize, okay, this is where it's going, and it's going to be the Republic is actually going to become the Empire. But my problem with the clones, and again, this goes in episode 3. It may be more about the Clone Wars too. More great about the Clone Wars is, George Lucas must have regretted so much of that one throwaway line in New Hope about the Clone Wars because he had to make a whole movie about it just because of that one line. Now, and I understand, and what it comes down to is you have the bad guys are robots, and I understand that because you can't have, if you're going to send the Jedis to war, it's really not a great look to have Jedis just slaughtering real people left and right with their lightsabers. So you have to have something they can just break apart.
For younglings.
And exactly. And then, but now on the other hand, you have these clones that are specifically bred for war. So the war is robots versus clones. And the stakes at that point in the war itself, which is supposed to be a big deal at episode 3 and in the Clone Wars, the stakes at that point are so low. and because you have robots versus what essentially aren't real people, what are just things that are bred to live and die for you in war. And, you know, especially when you watch the Clone Wars, like, oh, this war is so awful. It has to end, so many deaths. It's like, why? This, you know, there's no war orphans. You know, none of these soldiers are leaving wife and kids at home. It's two things that are built to fight. You can have this war go on forever. And it's just one of those things that doesn't make sense. It doesn't click, and it just takes you out of it, makes it not feel real. So maybe that's more of an episode 3 conversation, but that's what I always think of when they have all the clones show up at the end of episode 2.
Also, all those clones are only 10 years old. So you literally have a child fight. You have a child army.
That would have made it so much better if it was literally. And then they would have done the Imperial March, but it would have been like a pop Imperial March. Oh, that would be so good. Brian, thoughts on the end?
The ending, I thought was I didn't mind the ending, except for the shot of Bail Organa and Sidious and them on a soundstage overlooking nothing. Again, with the bad incorporation of CG, but with the end shot, where they have the armies lined up and getting ready for the Clone Wars, I thought that was a perfect end to the movie actually. So I'm like, okay, that's good. Now, the fact that it was a tease that would basically never get followed through on, because like, okay, here it is, begun these Clone Wars have. Yes, episode 3. Oh, they're over. Wait, we missed something. What the fuck?
Yeah.
So, but as far as how 2 ended, I thought the ending was fine.
Jay, what were you saying?
Where did all these dead kids come from?
Cue curb enthusiasm.
Oh my god!
Terrible. Yeah, thus the end of Attack of the Clones. Yeah. Like I said, I still really like this movie. I can't defend it very well, because yes, it is very poorly put together. It's very poorly directed. That doesn't mean that it's not a favorite of mine. I know when we come out with our top rankings for the episodics, this one's going to be higher for me, and I know you guys are going to verbally abuse me for it. But you guys know why I like this movie. You guys have seen why I like this movie. You guys have seen me defend it and then not defend it in certain respects. But I still really, really enjoy this film because of when I watched it, how I watched it, the atmosphere I was in when I watched it. It is something that has stuck with me. And certain scenes that we talked about in greater detail are fantastic scenes, and that's why, even though this is one of the most hated films of the Star Wars franchise, it is one of my most beloved for what it was. But yeah, that's my overall thoughts. Brian, I mean, I think you guys pretty much already said your overall thoughts for this film. I don't think we need to retrend them, y'all three. Brian, you hate it. Jay, you hate it. Kirk, you don't hate it nearly as much. I think
there are moments in it like I will say, I don't think this is a movie I will ever watch by itself. Like I say, hey, I want to watch Attack of the Clones. It's a movie I'm probably only ever going to watch if I'm like, hey, I want to watch the Star Wars saga.
Or hey, I'm drunk and it's halfway over and it's on TBS.
Yeah, but I'll never like pick out this movie to watch. But I mean, I'll watch it as part of the entire story, because yes, there are a lot of bad things in it, but there are some decent things. We've pointed to a few things that we enjoyed in it, and so as part of the overall story, it's like definitely one of the weakest links, but it's there.
Eric, any final comments?
Yeah, I mean, like Brian said, there's stuff there to enjoy. I get a lot more out of this. I could sit through this movie a lot easier than I can sit through episode 1. I mean, I'll watch this 3 times before I watch episode 1 once. So there's more to cling on to, but I mean, there's just enough in there where it's like, ugh. I mean, again, it comes down to a lot of the acting and dialogue is just hard to get through. But there are a few bright spots.
Okay, final jabs, final thoughts.
This movie's like sand. It's coarse. It's rough. And I was fucking irritated watching it. And somehow this movie has gotten everywhere. It's all over the fucking place. Look, it's right behind Brian.
It is, and it's right behind me as well.
Jeez, see? It's spreading. It's like the clout of Star Wars movies.
It's smooth. It's not sandy or anything.
No. That's creepy. Don't stroke her shoulder like that.
He wasn't
told you not to stare at her like that. It makes her uncomfortable.
Love it. God
She
damn
told
it.
you it makes her uncomfortable. Give it 20 minutes and then she'll come on to you.
And that's where we cut this episode. Holy crap. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you guys did, go ahead and hit that like. If you feel like this review is worth, or this review, if you feel like this episode is worth sharing, holy crap, I hope it is. Hit that share button. But most importantly, don't forget that subscribe button to the channel. See how well you guys stay up to date with all the latest videos that pop up on Sean's Movie Crusades. And of course, coming up next, episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, the final of the prequels, which I think for most of us is relatively positive for the most part. So it's definitely going to be a change of pace over the first 2 episodes of this franchise. But yeah, be on the lookout for that. That'll be up here in a couple days after this one. Brian, where can people find you at?
Just find me here. I'm here doing these things with you sometimes. I'm on Letterboxd under Cinemaphile, and I'm on Multiplex Movie Warzone.
Kirk, where can people find you?
I am on Letterboxd, Kirk Kowal, and Facebook. I'm there if you want me.
Jay, every time you give me something different, where can the people find you?
At the nudie bar downtown.
Nah. You can find me following alt porn stars on Twitter at jburns253, Burns with a Z. You can find me not doing or adding anything to my Instagram at bargang_Burns with a Z. You can find me on Snapchat. Apparently, I'm still there. Same as my Instagram. Just snap me some titties or something. I don't know.
He really knows how to sell it.
Fucking A. Facebook, Jay Burns. I run for now until this video drops and they hear all that. Full Metal Classic on Thursday over on the Full Metal Media page. If you like movie trivia, you can find me there. Don't try to talk to me because I'm an asshole in real life. Yeah, just don't.
Yeah, you're currently in charge right now. Who knows after this video? Just like Brian after he just caressed Padme's chest in the poster. Who knows what happens?
It's going to be episode #MeToo.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Anyway, God, this went off the rails really fast. Anyway, you can find me on all the social media outlets you see below. Also, you can find me, Sean Wasserkrug, on Facebook. We all 4 love talking about movies, whether it be Star Wars, whether it be anything else. Feel free to message us, talk to us. We will be cool with it. Also, don't forget to leave your comments on the video if you choose to. And we will see you next time in episode 3 as the Movie Crusaders ride through the Star Wars galaxy. In case we don't see you, good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Movie Crusaders, and may the Force be with you.